Every morning, my mother prepared my lunch. Same small box, same careful hands. When I was a child, I loved opening it. Rice, fruit, sometimes a small note. But when I grew older, things changed. School was busy. Friends were loud. One day, I looked at the lunchbox and sighed. "Mom, can you stop making this?" I said. She looked surprised. "Why?" she asked softly. "It's embarrassing," I replied. "Everyone buys food. I don't need this anymore." She stayed quiet. Then she nodded slowly. "Okay," she said. The next morning, there was no lunchbox on the table. I felt proud, but I didn't see how long she stood in the kitchen holding that empty box. The next weeks felt normal. I bought food with my friends. We laughed. We talked loudly. I forgot about the lunchbox, but something small had changed. Every morning, my mother still woke up early. I heard the same sounds in the kitchen, the kettle, the plates, but nothing waited for me on the table. One day, I walked past the kitchen door. She was there, cutting fruit, slowly, carefully. But the fruit wasn't for anyone. She placed it on a small plate and then quietly put it back in the fridge. When she saw me, she smiled quickly. "Good morning," she said. I nodded and left. At the time, I didn't understand that smile, not until much later. Because some love doesn't disappear, it just becomes quieter. One afternoon, I came home earlier than usual. The house was quiet, too quiet. Normally, my mother would be in the kitchen, cooking, humming softly, moving from one place to another. But that day, the kitchen was empty. I looked around. The table was clean. The stove was cold. Then I noticed something on the counter. The lunchbox. The same small box she used for years. I picked it up slowly. Inside, there was a folded piece of paper. My heart felt strange. I opened it. It was a note, in my mother's handwriting. It said, "I know you don't need this anymore, but I will always want to take care of you." My chest tightened. For the first time in a long while, I looked around the kitchen carefully, and suddenly, I missed the mornings I once ignored. That evening, I waited in the living room. When my mother came home, she looked tired, but when she saw me, she smiled like always. "Did you eat?" she asked, the same question she had asked my whole life. I nodded. Then I held up the lunchbox. Her smile became smaller. "I found it in the kitchen," I said quietly. She looked down for a moment. "I thought you didn't need it anymore," she said. Her voice was calm, but something in it felt fragile. I took a deep breath. "Mom," I said slowly, "I never said I didn't need you." She looked at me then, really looked. For a second, her eyes filled with tears, but she quickly wiped them away and smiled again. "You're growing up," she said softly. But that night, I understood something I had never seen before. My mother wasn't just cooking food. She was giving love in the only way she knew how, and I had almost told her to stop. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. The house was still quiet. I walked slowly to the kitchen. My mother was there, just like always, standing by the counter, preparing breakfast. For a moment, I just watched her, the same careful hands, the same quiet movements, but now I saw them differently. "Mom," I said softly. She turned around. "Yes?" I placed the lunchbox on the table. Her eyes widened a little. "Can you make it again?" I asked. She looked surprised. "You said you didn't want it anymore," she replied gently. I shook my head. "I was wrong," I said. For a second, she didn't speak. Then she opened the lunchbox slowly. Her hands moved the same way they always had, careful, loving. But this time, I noticed something I had never seen before. Her hands were shaking a little. When she finished, she closed the box and gave it to me. "Don't forget to eat," she said softly. I smiled. "I won't." As I walked out of the house, I turned back once. She was standing at the door, watching me, just like she always had. But now I finally understood something. The lunchbox was never just food. It was love, and some love is so quiet that we only hear it when we grow up.